I'm back in the city that used to be my home for 5 years. Moving to Berlin was my dream in high school. As soon as I graduated, I moved. I didn't know anyone, and the bureaucracy freaked me out. But at the same time, Berlin was everything I'd hoped for. It was a free atmosphere, full of creatives. The thing though was that I felt kind of disconnected while living there, especially in the last years. I felt too tired and stressed to enjoy anything. I couldn't keep up with the fast pace of the city. And there was always some issue with work or the apartment. I knew it was time to let go. Berlin was my dream when I was 19, but I needed something calmer and simpler. So I moved back to Sweden in 2023. When I moved back, I was prepared that my social surrounding wouldn't be as free-spirited as in Berlin. I was prepared to be perceived as a little odd when moving to a small town. But I knew I would always keep the Berlin mindset with me, to be free and not tied to norms and systems. Therefore, it's so nice being back. It kind of reminds me of who I am. Even though Berlin isn't the place for me, it still feels like home, like I belong here. Well, hello. I'm back again here in Båstad. I came back from Berlin like 2 days ago. And while I was there, I didn't really feel the peace of mind to really sit down and have a chat. So we're doing it now instead. I have some watermelon, it's like super warm outside. I wanted to go out and film, but it's so much music everywhere because it's this festival this weekend here in the village. Unfortunately, not really my cup of tea of music. It's more like young people in white clothes, like, you know, house music kind of. But it's nice that something's happening. And it was really nice to be in Berlin too, because it really felt like I took part of that like good free-spirited energy for a little bit. Because it feels like it especially comes out in the summer. In the winter, people are just so moody. I think people in Berlin are really weather affected. But then in the summer, everyone's like outside, dancing in the street, feeling this energy of life flowing through them. So it was nice being there, because I remember like the last year or two that I lived there, I couldn't appreciate it so much, because it was so many like downsides and things that stressed me out, because it was partly our apartment, because we had this really shady like third, fourth-hand contract, and I was always scared that we were gonna get kicked out, or that the gas bill was gonna like blow our economy up, basically. And then it was my job and my boss who were like super like nitpicky and also like screw me over with the paperwork. So it was a lot of things. That's just some examples. But now it's nice to go back and just be able to appreciate the city for all the good things there is. Because I really like appreciate this open-minded and free-spirited energy, because it's something I really lack when living here in Båstad. Because Båstad is like a really small place. It's like 5,000 people living here. And there aren't really so many other creatives. Most people live more conventional lives. They have like a normal job, they go on vacation, they have kids even. And I can't really relate to that, which is okay, because it can be fun anyways. But I know that I really thrive from living in a small place and having this stillness, this quiet and this closeness to nature. But then I also miss having like a community around me and having like-minded people. So it's hard to get like the best of both worlds, but I'm trying to find it in my own way. And I just know that I can't live in a big city at the moment, because I really can't focus and I just get so overwhelmed. But it's nice to visit. And yeah, I think like this whole trip just got me really inspired to talk about how it is to keep like pursuing your dream, even if your surrounding doesn't really get you, and just taking sort of an unconventional life path. And maybe it's not even that unconventional, depending what you're comparing it to. But like in my case, that I'm like continue to pursue my dream of being an artist and songwriter, even though I basically haven't gotten anywhere. On paper, on my personal journey, I think I've gotten really far, and that's what's important, of course, but you get what I mean. And I truly believe dreaming big and having ambition for success can be a way to expand what you love. Because it doesn't only have to be like making sacrifices, doing anything for fame. I think it can be more about actually daring to go out on this journey and prioritizing your passion as number one, and not just settling for some B plan and something that doesn't really fulfill you when your heart actually desires something else. Ooh, crazy. Now it's a lot of vehicles going around like crazy. But yeah, following what your heart desires, that's what I'm talking about. And yeah, I think it can be a bit hard when your surrounding isn't really with you, and when you keep getting questioned about what you're doing and if you're really sure about the future. Because when I get these questions from friends and family, I'm just trying to play it cool and be like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. But then in the same time, I'm also feeling a bit stressed because I'm also worried about money, about stability, about the future. But then I know it's worth it because I really have to try to actually be able to win, or at least to have the life experience. Because it feels like the thing that really brings me purpose is this dream of becoming an artist and just making a lot of music and living this creative life. And it feels like I haven't really lived that creative life in the past months because I've just been putting it off, partly because of work, partly because of this driving license endless journey, and just random excuses, to be honest. But yeah, I think like everything I do is for my like bigger purpose, and my bigger purpose is living a creative life. So that's what I'm trying to do. And something I've been thinking about is how much easier life is to handle when we're feeling positive. Because of course it's easier to keep on trying, keep on going when we feel empowered and motivated. But it's impossible not to get struck by doubt every now and then. And I actually think it's a good sign, because it's a sign that you're doing something that's meaningful to you. But facing a lot of fear and doubt can totally lead us into this victim mentality. Because sometimes life just feels a bit hard, and it's easy to compare your life to other people's life and think that maybe life would be easier if you were in someone else's shoes. Because I can often catch myself thinking that I'm just like dismissing other people's struggles as trivial, and that I just think that, oh, if I were that person and I were also a photographer or whatever, I would just take photos. How hard can it be? I would just like do it. But then I think it's just the same with my life. It doesn't have to be that hard and complicated, because I think we're making up so many problems in our mind, and we're just catastrophizing and overcomplicating things. While in reality, it doesn't have to be that complicated, because we can totally save our energy for the real struggles and for the actual problems, rather than just making up excuses and problems in our head. And I just think that people struggle in their own way, and that no one's problem is more valid than the others. Maybe if it comes to like a life and death situation, but you know, more like in general when you're pursuing a creative career or pursuing another career or just trying to figure out life in general. Because I think in the end of the day, we are really the ones who choose our own life, and we're not a victim under our circumstances, especially when it comes to following a passion. Because if you catch yourself in the end of the day just hating the thing that you used to love the most, maybe it's time to just take a step back and reevaluate things. Because I really found myself in that situation during my last years in Berlin. Because I had a band, and it was always some struggle with the band, but still I had a band. And I just kind of didn't like music. It didn't feel fun, it didn't feel exciting. It just felt like a chore that I had to do. Because I were releasing an EP and had recorded all these songs, and I was trying to do like this promo thing for it. And it didn't feel exciting. It just felt like I had to force myself to do things, force myself to be creative, come up with like some visual concept and some like online marketing, and It just felt draining and I just waited for it to be over. And that's not what I want to feel like while making a creative project. I want it to be fun and I want it to be free in a way. And of course, maybe not every part of the process can be super fun, but in general, I want to have a good and excited feeling about it. And I really didn't have that, because of course it was fun to rehearse with the band, mostly, but then it didn't feel like I had any inspiration to write new music. I didn't even write like a new song for 2-3 years. And yeah, everything just felt hard, you know what I mean? And then I knew it was time to change something, because maybe I had to change the place I lived, which I did because I moved away from Berlin into a small town. And I also had to change my approach to music, because I had gotten totally lost in this whole aiming for success and trying to find different ways to network and to make something out of my music career. But now I just had to take a step back and actually get really clear about why I'm doing this and why it's meaningful to me and what I actually want to get out of it. Because of course the big goal is to make a living as an artist and to go on tour and release albums. But most importantly is that I'm actually feeling connected to what I'm doing and that I actually find it meaningful. But I just think we shouldn't be victims under our own circumstances, because we were the ones who chose this life path and we can also choose to change it. And sometimes it might even be better to change and maybe do another job and do your passion as a hobby, because then you can totally be free in it and just do it for fun, do it in the way you want to. Because I think it's so hard to find this balance between ambition and staying true to your purpose, because especially if a big part of the dream is to make a living from it, because maybe we need to make some sacrifices also, but in general it's just hard to stay connected but still keep the business mind. So I don't know. We always choose, we have a choice. That's what I wanted to say. A bit of tough love maybe. And I'm trying to give this tough love to myself also when I'm just starting to go down this like negative loop of, well, if I had another path it would be way easier, everyone's lives are way easier than mine, and blah blah blah. Just limiting beliefs, just saying. And in the end of the day, we can't make other people stop questioning our life choices, but we can take control over our emotional response. Because I think other people's fears and their doubts can feed our own, and then we just like get into this scarcity mindset and just keep spiraling down. But I think it's important to try to find some like-minded people to have around you, either as friends or just people online. Because I think it can be really good to follow people on social media, on YouTube, that inspires you and maybe live the life that you want to live, or at least something similar to it. And I think it can really inspire us and remind us that it's actually possible, and that the only way of life isn't the one that is presented to us. Because sometimes it just feels hard, sometimes it feels impossible to go beyond what we know. But I think we totally can, because it is our life and our life experience, and we really shouldn't compromise that out of fear. So yeah. I believe in you, I believe in me, and I believe in us. Towards me.
You can do it left now.
Yeah. Yes, I also see.
Oh. Yeah, okay, maybe. That was funny too.